Good afternoon, everybody. Happy spring day. Got a little bit of drizzle happening, so April showers bring May flowers and vegetables. My name is Diane, and I'm with the Y, and I'm today for our Wednesday workshops. I am going to share with you how to make a container garden. Containers come in all different shapes and sizes, but before we get to that, I just want to share a little bit about what the YMCA is doing in the community. As you know, the YMCA of Western North Carolina is a cause-driven organization, and right now our staff is busy serving the needs of the community through providing emergency child care services for our first responders, the people who are on the front lines. We are feeding the community through providing lunches for children at many sites throughout our service area, as well as our mobile markets are providing some really great bags of fresh produce, rice, beans, eggs, bread products, and whatnot. Please visit our website, YMCA of Western North Carolina. And I think that just from a personal viewpoint, I take pause for a second because, as always, I just left the nutrition department filling bags of black beans and rice. And as I was driving out, I saw a gentleman who appeared to be homeless. And he had a backpack on, he had a yoga mat tied to his backpack, and it was raining, but the one thing he had in his hand was one of our bags from the mobile market. And that really gave me pause, that if you're living in your home and you're watching this from the comfort of your home right now, we're really privileged. That if you have soap to sanitize your hands, you're privileged. If you have a refrigerator stocked full of food, you're privileged. And so I really am excited to be able to work for an organization that's able to share what we can to help serve the needs of our population from what we are able to do. So think of those in your community that might need our services, and make sure that you share with the community what the Y has in terms of resources. So that being said, let's talk gardens. All right, so if you're living in an apartment or if you're living in a small space and you don't have land to do a garden, there's many different types of containers you can use. This one is an example. Another one is something like this, so it's a little bit oblong, and you're looking at about 8 to 12 inches in height. Another option are some of these that you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's, but I love to go to junk shops, love to go to auction sites, anywhere that, even Lowe's. A great trick here and a great tip for you is that a lot of the containers that I get are from Lowe's. You can go and recycle these in the garden shop, and a lot of these I've just gotten for free. So a little cost-saving tip for you. And then another one that you can use if you have more space, and even along your sidewalk, you can go big. And so this is another pot that I use for gardening. And there are different types of plants for different types of gardens. So a couple things that you need to know are what type of material to put into your pot. So I'm going to back up here. And a couple things that you're going to need. The first thing you're going to need is some good potting soil. So this type of potting soil I can get at Lowe's, Home Depot, or any kind of a garden shop that might be open right now. Lowe's and Home Depot right now are open. And this has the type of nutrients that you need, the different nutrient mix kind of looks like this. You're able to scrunch it up, but not so much that it is a ball of mud. So this is the type of stuff that you would get from the nursery to put into your pot. So it's springtime, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to amend soil, and I'm going to show you some different pot sizes and what you can plant, and then we're going to plant a couple things. All right, here we go. You also need some plant food. You need to feed your plants. Plants need some love too. And so I get an all-purpose organic feeder for pretty much all of your vegetables, and the directions are on the back of how much to add per pot. So that's a staple. The other thing that you're going to need, depending upon the size of your pot, for something like this, I still like to use some little pebbles or stones that you can get at the garden shop, or you can use some leaf matter. So this is some nice leaf matter that I would put in the bottom of my pot to begin with, for some nice drainage and for some organic material. But you say, Diane, I live in an apartment, I don't have access to leaves. That's okay. Just get yourself a bag of pebbles that look like this. So they're just a little teeny pebble bag. You're gonna pour about that much of pebbles into your small container, and then you'll begin. Also make sure you have a drainage hole. You don't want to end up having a lot of water at the bottom of your plants, because that's not good for the plant. Now, hello everybody. Hello Steve, Scott, Ann. I'm so happy that you guys are here joining us today. So I'm going to start with some leaf matter, and I'm going to stuff the leaf matter down in here. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my potting soil, and I'm going to add my potting soil in as such. Easy peasy. Then I'm going to gently pat down my soil. This is one of my pots I've already gotten together. I'm going to be lifting up my my video to show you in just a second what is in these pots and what I'm going to do. So this is soil from my compost garden. So if you're in a yard, even if it's a small yard, try and just get yourself some leaves and some and try to rake up some dirt around you. You can get some old cardboard. Another really great thing is if you have a shredder at your house, shredded paper, but white paper only. You don't want to be shredding any ads that have color on it. Throwing that into your compost garden, and this is exactly what it's going to look like. So I'm going to dump some in there and give it some space. So here's my first one. It is all ready to go. Now, let's say you have enough space to have a larger patio or deck or even yard. I'm going to pick this up to show you what I have here. This is one of my pots, and inside the pot already has the material that I need. And so what I did was I layered it with plant material as well as garden soil. All right, so again, don't get picky over your garden soil right now. Again, you can get it from a nursery, or if you have a yard, you can use it. And I'm going to go over how to amend soil in just a second. But first thing is the containers. So giving you a little tour. Again, I got these at Lowe's. Didn't cost me a penny. Walking around, I'm going to show you some other containers. So if you look through here, these are my big containers. I got all of these either secondhand. You can see some of them have been beaten up a little bit, and I provided enough space so that they can drain out. These are going to contain my summer vegetables. Now, you say, what can I grow in a container? Great question. What I can grow in a container, you just saw the large ones. You can grow zucchini. You can also grow black turtle beans. So you can grow beans for shelling. I do this all the time, and I'm still using the lima beans that I grew from last year that I was able to dry in my oven on low, and they plump up beautifully. They just grow up like 10 times when you reconstitute them. Carrots, another great thing to grow in a container, and we're going to plant some of these today. Lettuce, lettuce. Cucumbers, you can grow cucumbers, and you can grow some squash, so lots of different things. Haven't figured out to turn the phone off yet. Right now I grew some snow peas, and the snow peas will provide me with my vegetables by May. Spinach is another one. Now, what I want to show you is the bottom here. It says 12-inch pot. These are specially bred for, I don't know if you can breed plants, but they've been specially formulated for a 12-inch pot. So I can grow any type of vegetable that says 12 inches in one of these little pots here. An important component to have before you plant is to sprinkle something called worm casings in the top. And so worm casings are wonderful. It's an organic fertilizer and plant food. It is full of worm poop and baby worms and little casings, and you're going to end up maybe with some extra worms in your container. So I put it in there. I'm just mixing it around. And you know, it's so good just to get the feel of dirt in your hands and just to know that you are growing something. And also a wonderful way to have an activity with your children and grandchildren to watch something grow from seed or from a start and then be able to harvest and eat it. So let's grow in here. Let's see, what do we want to grow? Want to grow some spinach? All right, so in this pot, I'm just going to put it up here so you can see. I'm going to open up my spinach. I like to take my gloves off so I can put the seeds in properly. Now, this is what the spinach seeds look like, all right? They look like little pellets. And here's a tip, less is more. You don't want to be pouring a bunch of seeds in here because they're going to overcrowd and they're going to compete. And you're going to end up with a lot of scraggly things that resemble spinach, and you're not going to get a nice good crop. So you're going to want to follow the instructions of placing them about the seeds one by one. So this will teach a younger person or even an older person patience. And be mindful. It could be a meditation practice. You don't have to sit cross-legged with your fingers in a mudra position. Just by mindfully placing your spinach seeds in a bed, and I put them in circles. So I'm making, I don't know if you can see this or not, I'm going to lower down, and I'm just gently pressing these seeds into my little pot here, just like this. A couple more. You can start planting spinach as early as late February. You don't have to wait until the warmer weather. Right now at my house it's 42 degrees. It's a little bit chilly. Thank goodness I'm wearing some waterproof REI rain pants here, so I am a little bit more comfortable. I'm gonna put the rest of my seeds in here because you can succession plant. So once these are starting, in a week from now, you can do another pot. And then a week from now, another pot after that. And so grow. And as you harvest this pot, when these are ready, you still have more coming. Then you can plant something else in its place. Yay, here comes the rain. Again, April showers. So now I'm gonna take some of this beautiful dirt and I'm going to sprinkle it on top of my spinach, and now I'm going to pat it down. So now this is ready to go. Very important. You want to make sure that you label what you grow because you're going to be looking at this and wonder, gosh, did I plant something in here or did I not? So make sure that you get a Sharpie, and you can just get any kind of stick like a tongue depressor or anything. Stick it in there and say spinach and put the date on it. The date's really important so you know when you planted it and when it's expected to harvest. When your spinach is ready to harvest, just cut off the leaves. Keep the spinach in there, keep the roots in there because it's going to continue to grow. You'll know when the spinach is ready to pull when it starts to flower or just get very lanky. All right, so that was our spinach. Now, I'm going to use one of my larger pots and we're going to grow something else. You might think if you're in an apartment or you're in a townhouse and you don't have a lot of space that you can't grow something like potatoes. You can actually grow potatoes in one of these larger buckets like this. And I'm going to show you the trick right now. So let's take a trip over to my potato garden. Follow me. I'm going to close my door here. All right. So this looks like an unsuspecting pot with just some dirt in there. But what I did a few days ago was to start my potato garden. And so here is, see those things on top? That's what we call the head of a potato. Look up really close. That is what is going to grow into a potato. So it's going to feed off the inside of the potato. You'll put this down and then you're going to cover it up with dirt. Okay, so it's been all put to bed. You can start growing your potatoes in mid-March. Again, using any type of garden material you want. This is just your setting. I've known people to grow potatoes in straw. So now that's going to start to grow. You're going to start to see a green offshoot, okay? And it's going to get to be about maybe 4, 5, 6 inches tall. Once that happens, you're going to put some more dirt on top. And then it's going to grow a little bit more. You'll put some more dirt on top. And sooner or later, it's going to get right to the top here of your pot. And so the plants are going to continue to grow up, but down below, the magic is happening. The potatoes are going to start to sprout offshoots of baby potatoes. And when you know the potatoes are ready to be pulled up is when these beautiful green plants, which are going to produce these really pretty white flowers, start to die off. And a couple things you can do. I know I get really impatient because I would love to have some fresh potato salad from my garden on the 4th of July. So I just start digging down and you're going to find these little potatoes. And if you have kids or grandchildren that are really young and you have them start to dig down, the look of surprise on their face when like, oh, there's a potato. you can start to pick just the potatoes, a couple of them at a time, and then just enough, and just leave the rest. So you don't have to pull all your potatoes out of the ground at the same time. And then if you want to, all you have to do is just take this when you're ready to harvest the whole thing, pull it, just push it over, and I have 3 potato heads in here, and that's going to give me a couple pounds of potatoes. We just finished the last of our potatoes about 2 weeks ago. All right, so now, and again, here's the size of the pot that I put my potato in. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about planting some vegetables from starts. And so the question is, what is a start? A start is a vegetable that was grown from seed that is now a baby plant. So I have a couple of raised beds over here, but before we go to that, this is a trellis which is going to allow my snow peas that I planted 2 weeks ago from seed to grow up to here. Then they're going to come over and drape down. And so if you're looking back, I have 1, 2, 3 of these pots. Now, that being said, let's see, grab this. Oh, I want to show you this. So these, my friends, are, can you see this? Yes, nod your head if you can. This here, these are beet plants. And for each beet seed, they grow 3 little shoots. And so I have a choice now. I can either pull one up and eat it. Microgreens, yummy. Or what I can do is I can make a little hole in the ground, gently pull up with my finger this little guy and put it in here, and now it's away from its brother. See, I took the one from here, and now these 2 that were together are separate. So I'll continue to pull these apart and separate them so they continue to grow. You can eat beet greens. They're going to grow up to be about this tall. And so I just cut beet greens to use in my garden. And once these get big enough, you're going to want to separate them so there is a finger length apart. All right? So that's important so the beets can get nice and big. These will be ready to harvest in about a month and a half. You getting excited? You getting hungry? I'll tell you, this is the best thing ever. Greatest gift my grandfathers ever gave me was the honor of spending my summers on farms in Pennsylvania where I learned how to do all of this. All right. These, let me introduce you to my, it's so hard to see if you can see this. I'm just going to kind of put this in the ground here. All right. So this is my broccoli garden. And these were grown from seeds inside that if you have the container, remember that 1 pound, that 12-inch container? You can put 1 broccoli plant in there. So you can grow broccoli. I have a larger container like this. I could put 2 broccoli plants in this container, which is about, I'd say, a foot and maybe 14 inches tall. So you want to have about 10 square inches apart for your broccoli plants. You can also grow, these are cabbages. And the cabbage plants also grow really well in containers. Again, 1 cabbage per container. Here are some of the kale that we're going to plant right now. We're going to take them from, this is my nursery. I'm going to take them from my nursery and put them in my containers. So you're going to take a trowel, or if you go to the garden store, just get some starts. Yay, rain. And I'm going to lift these up and place them over here. And a couple more. Yeah. There we go. Oh, and maybe a few more here. Okay. So in this raised bed, we have kale. This is arugula. And see how they're bunched really close together? Later on, I'm going to put them in a container, and again, I'm going to separate them so they're a finger length apart. Followed by spinach. These are radishes. Again, I'm going to be thinning these out later. And can you see down here? Those are carrots. All these can be grown in containers or long beds. And of course, this is the, these are my lettuces. The lettuces came from seed, and then I ended up planting them in my bigger garden. So that's the nice thing about these. And one thing about compost piles, you get volunteers. These are pumpkins. And so in a couple of months, these will be big enough that I'm going to scoop them up, and I'm going to put one pumpkin in a big container, and that pumpkin will green and grow over and down and sprawl all over the place. So think about growing pumpkins on your front porch or at your townhouse in your yard. So let's go ahead and let's take this kale, and we're going to put this kale in one of our pots. If you have questions for me, email me at Saccone, which is Saccone at ymcawnc.org, because a lot of times we do have questions and they don't come up right away, but I'll be happy to answer them for you. So I'm going to put this down. And you don't need a really big pot for kale. So I think I'm going to choose one of these flower containers that I got from Lowe's. And again, I can put some drainage material here, whether it's pebbles or what. I'm just going to put some organic material like rotten leaves in here, and then I'm going to put my soil in here. Make sure that you have at least 5 to 6 hours of sunlight. That's also very important. And you say, but Diane, it got down to freezing at my house last night. This is your spring garden. Spring gardens can withstand some frost. You can also cover them with some leaves, or you can cover them with an old bed sheet, or maybe a light towel that can protect them if you know that you're going to get a frost. Now, I'm going to take my gloves off because I want to show you something. We talked about watering just now. Come here, a little piece of kale. Do you see this? These are the roots. It's kind of attached to my leaf here. We call these feet, okay? And you don't want the feet to get wet. So when you're planting them, make sure there's enough drainage, and make sure that you don't overwater. So you don't want water just bubbling up. So water enough so that it should be about 1 inch a week. So that's your rule of thumb. Now, I'm gonna pick this up so you can see how I plant this. I'm gonna take my finger, I'm gonna stick my finger down, separate, and I'm going to gently place the feet down into, come here, Mr. Kale. Plants love to be talked to. Talk to your plants. You can sing to your plants. They tend to grow better, I hear. And I'm going to separate these about, I'd say again, a finger length apart, because you want to allow the roots to spread out and down so they don't compete for space and they get the nutrients they need. And then another one here. These make really nice additions onto your back patio or your back deck. I put them actually on my deck railing. And there's nothing better than going out to my garden and picking up some kale for my dinner or lettuce. And there you go. Those are ready to go. And they're gonna go right onto my back deck. It's gonna give me a lot of afternoon sun. How much time do we have? We have a little bit more time here. So I'm gonna place my gloves back on. And the sun is coming out, yay! So what can you plant now? You can plant snow peas starting on Valentine's Day. That in England, that is the traditional start of the season for snow peas. They're very frost hardy. They love cold weather. And again, providing that trellis that they can climb up on. I got my bamboo poles from Lowe's, from a garden shop. They're also sold at Reams Creek Nursery and Fifth Season in Asheville. So you need for something to grow, them to grow up onto. And these I've had for years and years and years. At the end of the season, you just clean them off, put them in storage, and then just get them back out the next season. March, you can plant all your greens. You can plant from seed kale, lettuce, collard greens, spinach, Swiss chard, and any other green. Cabbages, if you want to grow from seed. You can also start your root vegetables. You can start your beets, and you can start your carrots. So as you just saw in my long 12 by 2 bed, I put a row of carrots, and then in the middle I put a row of radishes, and then on the other side I put another row of carrots. The radishes will be ready for you in 23 days. So as you eat your radishes, then you'll be able to have another succession of carrots. And then when you pull up your carrots, when they're ready, you can then add another succession of carrots, or maybe plant something different since it'll be midsummer. Maybe you want to plant some green beans, or maybe you want to plant something else of your choosing. Let's take a little tour. So spring garden, again, reviewing. We can put them in any kind of a pot, making sure that they get enough sunlight. Bigger pots for bigger things. With these bigger pots this summer, I'll be growing lima beans. I'll be growing kale. Yes, you can grow kale in the summer. I'm going to also be growing, I'm going to show you these right here. These are pole beans, and they're actually, they'll actually be purple. So they're my purple pole beans. And so I kept some of the seeds from last year. And when you have beans and lima beans and even tomatoes, save your seeds. That can be another workshop if you like. And then you don't have to go out and buy seeds year after year after year. It saves me a lot of money in preparation. And it's kind of fun to just keep them and see what you've grown. All right, so summertime. Let's pretend that my raised garden beds are pots, because everything in my raised garden bed can be grown in a pot. Now, see this white stuff? This is ground cover. And you can get ground cover at Fifth Season, and you can get ground cover at Reams Creek Nursery, and you can also order it. The reason that I love, it's a really good when it gets old, like a kind of like looks like a Halloween costume. But you want to make sure that you cover your brassica. A brassica is broccoli or cabbages or cauliflower. Right now, as it's getting warmer, you're going to start to see these little moths. They're about that big and they're purple. Those are cabbage moths. And guess what? They like to plant their babies underneath the leaves of your brassica. And what's going to happen, and you'll see them all lined up, they're these little brown dots. They're going to grow into these little cabbage worms, and they are going to eat your leaves. They're going to get inside the broccoli flower, and they're going to decimate your garden. And so this ground cover, that's why I have this here. I just opened it up to show you the garden. What you're going to do is you're going to cover this up. It is porous, so the rain comes in, the sun comes in, and it keeps the bad stuff from coming out. Also, it's a windy day today. Wind can be very damaging and drying to baby plants. So you can also use your ground cover to protect your plants, your new vegetables, from damage from the wind. It's also going to, in a frost situation, elevate the temperature of your garden by about 2 to 3 degrees, which is really great. So this greens garden that I have here is going to become my zucchini garden. And they're going to be patty pan squash. And so my patty pans are going to go into half. So as I continue to take some of my kale and put it into another pot, then I'll transfer my starts. I'm going to grow in my pots some zucchini seeds, transfer them into here, and then that is where my zucchinis and my patty pan will be. This here, where my snow peas are, when I pull my snow peas, I'm going to plant my lima beans. And now my lima beans will have a place to trellis up, so I'll just keep this little teepee here all summer. The radishes are going to go away, and this is where my carrots are going to come in for that next 2 rows. So I'll end up getting 4 rows of carrots that I'll be able to harvest into the fall. This garden here is already planted, and they're sleeping. Do you recognize this guy? That is an itsy bitsy baby asparagus. This is my asparagus garden. So the whole 12 by 2 is an asparagus garden. I planted these 5 years ago. They're going to come up any time now. And as they grow, they're going to grow in between my lettuces. I'm going to continue to grow lettuce all season long because the lettuce is going to provide a barrier for the ground. So it's going to keep the weeds out. And if you look, you see these green things here? Those are not weeds. Those are the baby lettuces that I put in the ground. Oh, I see some more. So see how these are coming up? Yeah. All of this is baby lettuce. So the baby lettuces will be coming up. I'll continue to plant lettuce throughout the season. The remay is on here. This garden cover is only here because I have deer and I have rabbits and I have bear in my area, and they love to dig in my gardens. And so I keep this on all season long for this particular garden to keep the bunnies from eating my lettuce. They don't seem to like carrot tops. So I can leave this open. Also, too, carrots won't grow past 85 degrees. Here's another tip. Your carrot tops, don't throw them away. Carrot tops make the best pesto ever. And so you cut your carrot tops off, you bring them in the house, you stuff them in your food processor, add your oil, pine nuts, garlic, your Parmesan cheese, zip it on, and it is honestly one of the best things you can put on top of pasta. And you're getting all those nutrients from your carrot tops. So this concludes our container garden growing workshop. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Know that you can grow anything, pretty much from a pot, including pumpkins. And email me again, dsacconie@ymcawnc.org. If you want more information, or if you want to, if you have any questions. And when you talk about amending soil in your yard, I have an empty lot next to me, so I'm kind of lucky here. And so you don't want to have clay ground. So you need to be able to put some peat moss and other material in it to get a lot of nutrients. I can give you a recipe on how to amend soil. So again, email me and I will give you that recipe, and that'll allow you to grow your garden every single year with more nutritious soil. Adios. It has been an honor, and thanks for staying with the Y. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.